My dad was obviously not perfect. He went through many hardships in life, went through many marriages, but it crumbled all false pretenses that we are saved by works, at least our own works. None of us are perfect, but it really is by the grace of God that saves us. Some other notable influences in my life were being invited to a high school fellowship group when I was younger. And that's how I got connected to the church in San Francisco. And it was really through the love of that church and discipleship where I got to learn and grow. Going into the verse Hebrews 10:24, how it is important for us to not neglect meeting together. As I gotten older and more college age, a lot of my peers have moved on to school, and I felt like I was a little disconnected at church. And there was a period where my grandfather passed away, and I guess by tradition or custom in the family, we all had to gather every Sunday to commemorate his death for a month. And my family, they were not believers, apart from my dad. And because of that time off away from church, and my heart wasn't in the right place, it was very easy for me to neglect the fellowship. And because of that, my own sinful desires, where I'd rather sleep in and I'd rather do other things, it was very easy for me to not return. And I felt very embarrassed by it. I felt like, in a sense, I ran away from fellowship and from my church there. They reached out to me, of course, because they loved me, but I was not receptive at that time. So given quite a few years when I was just wandering, where I was just going in life aimlessly, where I would find my fun through friends and entertainment, there was still that kernel where in my heart where I knew it was important that I would return to the Lord, walking with Him, walking with other believers. And praise the Lord, He gave the courage to me to return back. And when I did, I just experienced the love of Christ through the church body back at my home church in San Francisco. And I was discipled there and discipled by a dear older brother in the Lord, and really got to learn a lot. So kind of fast forward a little bit, during the Great Recession, when a lot of jobs were being terminated, I worked in food service for Redwood City in San Mateo County. I worked in the courthouse there, and I was transferred over to the county jail, doing food service there. But at that position, I was working every Sunday, and it was taking me away from Sunday worship. I would still go to fellowship through the midweeks, but missing the Sunday fellowship, especially when I couldn't be there with my wife, it was really hard. So my wife and I, we talked about it, we prayed about it, and perhaps it was not something we wanted to do this forever, and it didn't seem like my job would give me the opportunity to have Sundays off. So we considered maybe I just go back to school, get more education, and then find a job where I would have those weekends off, which was more conducive to our family and spiritual life. And praise the Lord, He opened that way for us. I was able to go to school at Sacramento State. We moved out this way, and God made that possible. So that's how we got connected to Go Country Baptist. So I'm really thankful that the Lord led us here. When we first heard of Go Country Baptist, honestly, I thought it was kind of like, is this a prosperity church? Because it's called Go Country. But going to the website and seeing Pastor Phil, he wrote a letter on there, and knowing that he went to Master's College, which is where my pastor is back in San Francisco, that's where they went to. So theologically, there was a lot of alignment. And I remember coming here, and Pastor Phil was preaching about Father's Day, and talked about Joseph, and the example of him as a father, and the example of God as our Father. I was really blessed by that. So just by the Lord's providence, when Denise and I, when we first started dating, we found out that both of her parents lived out here, and my mom lived out here too. So actually, when we come and visit, we visit our folks together. So it was just great how the Lord, just in His providence, how He provides all of these things for us. With the whole COVID situation, it did affect things of how we can get together. In fact, you may be familiar with the Gallup poll about how church membership has greatly declined, and that's been in effect for quite a long time. Thankfully, though, according to the Gallup poll, the U.S. is still a religious nation. More than 7 out of 10 people affiliate with some sort of organized religion. But there's been a huge trend of church memberships been dipping below. And currently right now it's like 47%, which is, for the first time ever, under 50%. So you can say that church members are now the minority in America. Obviously there's a number of different reasons. COVID was one of them. But really it's the population change, and as generations get younger, the more that they're influenced by the world, and obviously church is not a huge priority. I know when Jason, he was mentioning how it would be really difficult because it's hard to get together with others. For some people like myself, who are more introverted, there's no problem at all. I can just stay at home. I feel like I don't have any side effects from it. But it's not true, because the Lord knows that we need that encouragement. The more that we retreat, the more that we live selfishly. And I'm definitely not immune to that. So I'm really thankful for just how God uses men in our lives to encourage us, to help us get together, to remind us really of the importance of Christ living for Him. And the men's group that I'm in, along with Jason, with Sean, and Ty, it's been a huge blessing for me. And none of these men are great. None of them are perfect. We don't have our lives together, but we are able to share in our struggles, and we know that the solution is through God, through His Word. We encourage one another through that. So Paul, he describes the church like a physical body. We are all members of a body, and being members of a body means we're all connected. If we are separate from the rest of the body, then just like our physical body, it struggles, it dies. We need that blood to provide the warmth and that life. And being part of a local body, how we're all members of a local body, that's the picture of being members of a spiritual body. That's that we do need to be together, because that lone Christian is tempted to live the path of separation, which can lead to discouragement, spiritual blind spots, lack of accountability, even for like myself, spiritual apathy. So it's a consequence of just not having the spiritual blessing that's provided through one another. And the Bible also presents numerous verses about describing our spiritual life as a race. It's a race that requires a lot of endurance. And endurance can be very difficult for people who don't enjoy running, even for people who do enjoy running. Endurance is a difficult thing. Sports psychologists know that athletes perform better in groups, especially for runners. And when you have someone watching or running with you, you are more focused, less distracted by the pain, and it helps you to move towards your goal. Even a simple buddy push when you're at your lowest point mentally, you're mentally breaking, that simple buddy push can help you carry on, give you your second wind. And that's the same way, God made us like that. That's why it's imperative for us to encourage one another all the more until Christ returns. So I will close with Titus 2, verse 11 and 14. For by the grace of God has appeared, bringing salvation for all people, training us to renounce ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in the present age, waiting for our blessed hope, the appearing of the glory of our great God and Savior, Jesus Christ, who gave Himself for us to redeem us from all lawlessness and to purify for Himself a people for His own possession, who are zealous for good works.